May I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. May I learn to identify and see the sources of anger, craving, and delusion in myself. But first of all, may I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. Many people cannot accept themselves. They are at war with themselves. They dislike themselves. They want to run away from themselves. Because they have not been with themselves. They have not been there for themselves and touch themselves so deeply. Practicing looking deeply into oneself and to see the nature of the joy and of the pain within oneself, one will be able to accept oneself and to love and take care of oneself. Know yourself, connect to Atman. That is the practice of love. If we look deeply into ourselves, we find out the conditions that have made ourselves. And then we accept ourselves with our suffering, our happiness at the same time. And we know that to love is first to accept us as we are, to accept the other person as she is, as he is. And looking deeply, we see how that person has been made. It is like a flower is made only of non-flower elements. That person has been made of elements that are not him. His ancestors, his parents, his society, and so on. So once we see deeply all the conditions that have made him or her, we'll be able to accept him or her like that, and to begin with that, to take good care of him or her. In the teaching of the Buddha, it is clear that love is made of understanding. If you don't understand, you cannot love. If wife and husband do not understand each other, it's not possible for them to love each other. If father and son do not understand each other, they will not be able to love each other. To understand is to see all the difficulties, all the pains, all the problems the other is having. Also the aspiration, the hope of the other person. If you ignore the suffering, the difficulties, the aspiration of the other person, how can you love him or her? So you may need the other person in order to understand him or her more. So as a true lover, we can always go to the person we love and ask for help. Darling, I want to love you and make you happy, but I do not understand you by myself alone. Please help. When you love someone and if you do not understand him or her, you make him or her suffer more. That is always true. A father loving his son but not understanding his son will make his son suffer. And that is why a father as a lover has to come to his son and ask, my son, do you think I understand you enough? Is my love making you suffer? And the husband has to ask the wife the same question. Because our love may be suffocating for the other person. Our love may be just a prison for him or for her. Because we don't understand. We have not had enough understanding of of the person we love. And understanding is the fruit of looking deeply. If you are not there, if you don't practice looking deeply, you won't understand. So the practice of mindfulness helps us to be there, to look deeply, to understand the other person. And as we practice, we need a Sangha. We need the other person to help us. Darling, I really want to love you and make you happy, but I need your help. Tell me what is in your heart. Tell me your difficulties. Tell me whether my way of loving is make you happy or unhappy. That is the language of true love. And we know that in true love there is no pride. You need the other person in order to love properly and deeply. And that is also a treaty that the two people have to sign. As we love each other, we need each other's help. Pride cannot stand on our way. So we have to understand the other person. The other person is not like us. He has his own pain, suffering, and difficulties, and aspiration. The other person may be your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, your spouse. We have to practice looking deeply in order to have insight into his nature, her nature. And we will need his help or her help to understand him or her.